Good day, welcome to News Now on TV360. I am Thelma Okoro. A federal high court in Abuja on Tuesday dismissed the application filed by Biafran leader Nnamdi Kanu, asking the court to grant him access to his personal items, including his British and Nigerian passports, which is currently held by the Department of State Service. Kanu made the request through his lawyer, Chukwumoma, asking the court to release the items of his clients since they were not part of the exhibits listed to be tendered, but was dismissed by Justice James Soho. In dismissing the application, Justice Soho said it lacked merit. He then adjourned the case till February 19, 2016. The prosecution has closed its case against Olisa Metu, the spokesperson for the People's Democratic Party, PDP. The case was closed after the 8th prosecution witness, an EFCC detective, Junaid Said, briefed the court on how Metu had destroyed his statement during investigation by the agency. At the resumed hearing on Tuesday, Said testified that Metu had kept 50 million naira out of the 400 million he received from Sambo Dasuki for his personal use. Metu is standing trial on a 7-count charge bordering on criminal breach of trust, corruption and money laundering. After his testimony, the trial judge then adjourned the case till February 18 for the defense to open its case. Niger's Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, has maintained that the Nationalsensitization crusade against corruption is fast gaining ground as more Nigerians have joined in the fight against the menace. While receiving the Presidential Advisory Committee on Corruption in Abuja on Tuesday, the minister insisted that the fight against corruption is a fight for the survival of Nigeria and must not be fought in isolation. Chairman of the Presidential Advisory Committee on Corruption, Professor Idse Sage, also applauded the fight against corruption.
We expect the cooperation of the NTA, the FRCN, and the National Orientation Agency in, for example, having jingles, maybe before the most important news items, when everybody is tuning in, jingles that actually promote the anti-corruption struggle. We expect inspirational and motivational speeches, very brief, at critical moments for the national audience, so that they may know the importance of this struggle, the consequences and devastation we have suffered as a result, for Nigerians to begin to consider that when there is massive corruption, it is not government that is suffering. It is the ordinary man who is the greatest victim. For them to associate themselves with the victimization which have arisen from these terrible acts of corruption which we have seen in the last few months.
This fight against corruption is a fight for the survival of Nigeria, and it is a fight that we cannot engage alone. And since it's a fight about perception management and change of attitude, we need the support of especially media organizations. Talking about achievement, I can say without equivocating that since the launch of the sensitization campaign against corruption, we have succeeded in getting more and more Nigerians talking about corruption. Not everyone has joined the campaign, but we see the increased national debate on corruption as a positive development. Because the more people are aware of the evils of corruption, the cost of corruption to their livelihood, the more the likelihood for them to support the government's battle against corruption. No doubt that some of those who have also picked holes in the anti-corruption fight, are manifestations of corruption fighting back. Make no mistake about it, corruption will fight back and do so in a very big way. But this government will neither be persuaded nor cowed into abandoning the fight against corruption, which, as I said earlier, is a battle of survival for our dear country.
Former Deputy Speaker of the Kogi State House of Assembly, Simon Achuba, has been sworn in as the Deputy Governor of Kogi State. His swearing-in took place on Tuesday in Lokoja, the Kogi State capital. Achuba's appointment comes after the party's former deputy governorship candidate, James Faleke, refused to be deputy to Governor Yahaya Bello. Bello, who was last month sworn in as the governor of Kogi State without a deputy governor, was picked by the APC to replace its late candidate, Abubakar Audu, who died before the conclusion of the election. Workers under the aegis of the Niger Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress have embarked on a nationwide protest against the recent increase in electricity tariff in the country. The NSC had called the protest after the Nigeria Electricity Regulatory Commission turned down its demand to suspend the tariff hike. In the Nigerian commercial capital of Lagos, protesters besieged one of the electricity distribution companies in the city and demanded the removal of the new tariff. Yemi Esson has that report.
The labor union's protest brought activities at the Ikeja electricity distribution companies in Lagos to a halt. Singing various solidarity songs, they besieged the head office of the distribution company as early as 8 a.m.
1999, we have spent over $20 billion. Nothing is happening.
Their leaders described the tariff hike as outrageous and unacceptable, adding that it was the 5th in a row since 2012.
This is a fraud. Yes. This is a fraud. We are not going to take this. They must report to government. Government must take over all the discos and the power sector. Yes. Government must take it over. Yes. We are tired of electricity slavery. Yes.
We are complaining. Now they have increased it further. Why do they want the ordinary man, the physically challenged, the poor? Why do they want them to get all this money?
The NERC began implementing the new tariffs at the beginning of February this year after investors in the country's electricity sector complained the old tariffs were inadequate and stifling new investment in the sector. Despite the new tariffs, though, public power supply still remains very erratic in Africa's largest economy. The unions want improvement in supply before any tariff hike. They are also insisting that customers must be metered in line with the privatization memorandum of understanding of November 1, 2013.
Over the years, they have tabulated periods of which increase should come. And along those increases, they have actually said light will improve. They have said that we have to be metered, in 18 months we'll be metered. They have failed in all of this, but they are good at following the increases of tariff. They have failed in their duties of providing meters, they have failed in providing enough energy, but they can improve tariff. So all these things are supposed to go simultaneously. They should go together. Once we improve the meter, yes, we pay the tariff, yes, we are ready to pay for what we consume. Crazy bills all over the place. So we don't know. They keep on telling us that some people are using light without paying. Who is supposed to catch anybody using light without paying? Is it us or them?
The protest took place across the country with the unions picketing all the electricity distribution companies nationwide. They say they will not back down until their demands are met.
And in Abuja, the nation's capital, President of the Nigerian Labour Congress, Ayuba Wabba, has called on the federal government to review the process leading to the privatization of the power sector by former President Goodluck Jonathan. Wabba was speaking during the protest against the newly increased electricity tariff. Members of the Labour Congress marched around the city of Abuja demonstrating their dissatisfaction over the recent hike in the electricity tariff. With placards of various inscriptions and solidarity songs, they proceeded to the National Assembly, where they were met by the President of the Senate.
This particular event is taking place in all the states of the Federation. It's for us to make the point that governance is about the good of the people. It's about the welfare of the people. The company was privatized 5 years back, and we expect that by now they must have added value. But instead of adding value, what we have seen is by increasing the tariff.
Our economy too.
5 years, the tariff has been increased from 2012, 2013, 2014, up to 2015. But what made this increase outrageous is an increase of from 14 naira per unit to 24 naira in some cases to 26 naira. That is an increase of between 40% to 65%, in some cases 100%. In this very hard economic situation, sir, it's difficult for Nigerians to swallow this very bitter pill. That Nigerians must be carried along. Every policy if governance is for the good of the people. And therefore we thought that the best place to end this rally of today is actually in the domain of our representative.
I want to assure you that this Senate, House of Representatives, and National Assembly is for the people. If you recollect, even before now, we too had observed that this issue of tariff and some of the policies was not palatable. And we summoned the NNERC. Even before now, we are with you. We will stand with you and ensure that no policy will be in any way that is not palatable to the masses and to the people. Yes, we all want power. Yes, we want improvement, but not at the detriment of the masses. And there must be consultation, because we are here at your instance and by virtue of you that we are here. You cannot make laws or make policies without the people. I want to assure you this afternoon. For sure, as for this 8th Senate, 8th National Assembly, we will always stand for what will ensure the survival of the masses. We are not blind, we are not deaf, we can see the problems. Give us time, we will call the executive, we will engage with them and ensure that the right is done. And we will do it with immediately. We are people here of action, and you will see the action immediately.
The Socio-Economic Rights and Accountability Project, SERAP, has advised the Minister of Power, Babatunde Fashola, to ensure that NEC is not allowed to get away with the 45% increase in electricity tariffs. In a statement released on Tuesday by the Executive Director, Adetokunbo Mumuni, SERAP said, quote, Niger is an important member of the UN and has voluntarily accepted its charter and treaties. End of quote. Therefore, any effort to increase electricity tariffs should be guided by the recommendations by the UN and dialogue with organized labor and other stakeholders. Meanwhile, NEC has denied increasing the cost of power bills without consulting stakeholders in the sector. Niger's Minister of Power, Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has defended the recent increase in electricity tariff following the recent protests that showed the decision. The minister says the new electricity tariff is the first major decision that will attract needed investment in the sector. Fashola explained that the country cannot generate power unless it increases the tariff to generate revenue. Niger's Minister of Finance says the federal government's decision to collect payments in one bank account will help limit state borrowing, reduce payment delays, and curb corruption. Kemi Adeosun said the government had so far channeled over 2.2 trillion naira into its treasury single account. She has said the country is seeking loans from international agencies at a cheap rate. President Muhammadu Buhari had last year ordered all ministries, departments and agencies of the federal government to adopt the treasury single account or face severe sanctions. The directive was specifically to promote transparency and curb corruption. Human rights lawyer Femi Falana has ordered the Nigerian government to abandon its plan to secure a $3.5 billion loan from the World Bank and the African Development Bank. In a letter to the Ministry of Finance, Falana said instead of taking the loan, the government should direct the anti-graft agencies to recover all loans and revenue accruable to it. The senior advocate of Niger stated this in a letter dated February 5th that the federal government is owed not less than $66.5 billion, which is about 13.3 trillion naira recovered from corrupt officials. Members of the Shiite Islamic group held a peaceful protest in Potiskum, Yobe State, northeast Nigeria, over the continued detention of their leader, Ibrahim El-Zakzaki. El-Zakzaki has reportedly been in military custody since December 12, 2015. The Islamic leader and some of his members were detained after a major clash with the Nigerian army in Zaria, Kaduna State, which left over 100 people dead. The army had accused the Shiite members of attempting to assassinate Niger's Chief of Army Staff, Tukur Buratai, after members of the sect barricaded a road stopping his convoy. However, the Shia group denies attacking Buratai. Kaduna State Governor Nasir El-Rufai had last month inaugurated an inquiry to probe the clash. The People's Democratic Party (PDP) has again moved its meeting in search of a new national chairman to next week. The National Working Committee of the party had initially fixed Tuesday and Wednesday this week as a date for the election of a new party chairman. Both spokesperson of the PDP, Olisa Metu, issued a statement announcing that all the meetings fixed for this week had been moved to next week. PDP is presently facing some in-house crisis over its leadership following the verdict of an Abuja High Court that asked the acting chairman, Uche Secondus, to step down. We'll take a short break now. When we come back, we'll look at more top stories. Stay tuned.
Hello, you're welcome. You're watching the Funny White Man Show, which is the biggest, the brightest, and the most entertaining show in Africa.
Funny white man, but this is where you talk, it's too much. Give me 5,000 man, that's you. It's too much. So you get it like, when she move along the street, yeah, me should like that, I'm going girl, you know, my own people, actually. Yeah, fine, it's fun. I enjoy it. And I'm one of those very few. I'm forever taking it personal. I will say 160 million Nigerians are corrupt. How? I'm looking for you.
Yeah, but it's a growth, and this is the time to build business and know the pitfalls and know what to do and what not to do. But there are months where you get business and months.
You know how we do, how we train them. We do the way you do.
Hello, you're welcome. You're watching Trending Matters on the Funny White Man Show. Of course, we will bring you trending issues just to entertain and tickle your fancy.
Welcome back. You're watching TV360 News Now. The Committee for Defense of Human Rights, CDHR, has condemned the shooting of a medical doctor in Imo State who was participating in a peaceful demonstration against the non-payment of their salaries by Governor Rochas Okorocha. Dr. Bede Azudiako was shot by policemen deployed by the Imo State Police Command to disperse the protesting medical doctors who had gathered under the auspices of the Nigerian Medical Association. CDHR, in a statement released by its president, said Dr. Azudiako reserves his fundamental human rights to peacefully associate and assemble as guaranteed under Section 40 of the Nigerian Constitution. The committee called on the Inspector General of the Nigerian Police Force, Solomon Arase, to investigate the case and bring the guilty officer to justice. Oil prices edged up on Tuesday as a report showed supply would not drop quickly enough to erode a global surplus. The International Energy Agency said the world will store unwanted oil for most of 2016 as declines in U.S. output take time. OPEC is also unlikely to cut a deal with other producers to reduce ballooning output. Brent crude was up 35 cents at $33.23 a barrel, while U.S. crude was up 66 cents at $30.35 a barrel. There's also little sign of any coordination on production cuts among big producers outside the U.S. after weekend talks between OPEC members Saudi Arabia and Venezuela yielded no concrete result. At least 9 people were killed and scores more injured, police say, after 2 passenger trains collided in the German state of Bavaria. The transport minister said the trains had crashed into each other while traveling at around 100 km per hour. Police said rescue teams were trying to free people still trapped in the wreckage. German Chancellor Angela Merkel said she was dismayed and saddened by the crash. The cause of the collision is not yet known. The Nigeria Football Federation is set to inspect facilities and equipment at the Ahmadu Bello Stadium, Kaduna, for next month's 2017 African Cup of Nations qualifier against Egypt. The Super Eagles will face the Pharaohs in an important AFCON qualifier on Wednesday, March 23rd. The return leg will be played in Egypt on March 28th. The Eagles, who are currently second in the group, need to defeat the Egyptians in order to boost their chances of qualifying for Gabon 2017. Niger coach Sunday Olise has apologized to the Niger Football Federation after his recent attacks on the federation as well as his perceived critics. The Super Eagles coach has received a lot of criticism since Niger crashed out of the knockout stage of CHAN 2016. Olise in turn fired back, saying his team was not well motivated while the competition lasted in Rwanda. Meanwhile, former Super Eagles coach Adegboye Onigbinde has again criticized the NFF for his decision to hire Sunday Olise as coach of the national team. The FIFA instructor insists that Olise is not qualified to coach the national team and should never have been offered the post. Kenya could pull out of this year's Rio Olympics if the Zika virus in Brazil reaches epidemic levels, the head of Kenya's Olympic Committee said on Tuesday. Kenya boasts of some of the best middle and long-distance runners in the world, and this could dampen the competition if the country pulls out. The East African nation also topped the medals table at the 2015 World Athletics Championships. Meanwhile, the U.S. Olympic Committee said athletes and staff concerned for their health over the Zika virus should consider not going to the Rio 2016 Olympic Games in August. That's all we have on news now. We thank you very much for watching. I am Thelma Okoro.